Hello, everybody. Welcome. It looks like we're all set and ready to get started, so I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. So welcome and thank you again for joining us today for the online information session to update you about the sewer conveyance project and construction plans for the Lazo area. My name is Colleen Dane, and I'm here to help facilitate today's session through the presentation and the Q&A portion that will follow. Helping me today is Mary Lee, Communications and Engagement Specialist with the CBRD and tech support for tonight. Our goal with this webinar is to provide you with an update on plans for the sewer conveyance project and the resulting updates to the traffic management plan and groundwater protection policies that we know are so important for the Lazo area community. This is also a great opportunity for you to ask questions of the project team about what's coming up next and what you can expect. Our presenter today will be Charlie Gore, the Senior Manager of Capital Projects Delivery with the Comox Valley Regional District. And we have some other folks on the team here on the panel to help respond to questions as need be. So we have Cole Mackinson, the Manager of Capital Projects, Mark Retton, the General Manager of Engineering Services, and James Warren, the Chief Administrative Officer of the Comox Valley Regional District. We expect our presentation will take about 20 minutes, and then we will open up the Q&A session. And we have about an hour and a half set aside altogether today to cover this update. So we're going to get started in just a moment, but before we dive in, I have a couple housekeeping items I just want to cover off before we really get rolling. The first one is just to remind people that using this webinar format, we collect your questions using the Q&A window. So you can find that at the bottom of your Zoom screen where there's a black bar and some icons. You'll see a little Q&A button, and if you open that up, a new window will open, and that's where you can type in your question for us, and we can relay that to Charlie and the team. We'll address the questions at the end of the presentation, but feel free to drop them in there at any time when they come to you. And you can also make your questions anonymous by clicking the little checkbox beside it before you post it so that we can see your question still. If someone has posted a question that you have and that you think is important, you can upvote it by clicking on the little thumbs up symbol below it. And that can just help us understand what some pressing questions might be and prioritize them as we move forward. We do hope to get to every question today, though, but should we run out of time, we will follow up with information about any of the outstanding items. So please feel free to drop in your questions, even if we're getting to the end of our time together, because we're happy to follow up and get some more information to you. As you might have heard, as you joined us, this session is being recorded. It will be shared to the CBRD's website for review again by yourselves if you want to go back and take a look at something, or if you want to share it with others who weren't able to be here tonight. We can expect that it'll be posted to the website in the next few days. And finally, if you're having any technical hiccups with participating today, please post your question in the chat. So you can find that also in that bottom black bar of your Zoom screen. If you pop it open, you can share your comment there, your question, and we'll do our best to help troubleshoot from a distance. So that's enough from me. I think we're ready to get rolling, Charlie. Once again, thanks everybody for joining us today, and I'll hand the mic over to Charlie Gore. Charlie?
Thanks very much, Colleen. Yeah, looking forward to this update today. It's been 6 months since we were able to update your community out there in Area B, and a lot has happened. So I'm excited to pull up my presentation now and walk through it with you all. Okay. So as Colleen mentioned, my name's Charlie Gore. I'm the Manager of Capital Projects here at the CBRD, and I'm going to be the overall project manager for the sewer conveyance project. Before I get started, I do want to respectfully acknowledge that we're on the land that we're on, and which we gather is the unceded territory of the Comox First Nation, the traditional keepers of our land. And so when I left you last, for those that were able to come to the June webinar, we were looking at 3 different routes to replace the horizontal directional drilling through the Lazo Hill area, with how to get from the eastern boundary of the town of Comox out to our wastewater treatment plant. And the 3 that we were looking at were Curtis Road, which had been identified as a high-risk route, Moreland Road, which was identified as a possibility, but had the drawback of the environmental impact of crossing the marsh, and going down Lazo Road, which was our preferred route. Since that meeting, we have done a lot of work, including geotechnical drilling along Lazo Road, along the low portion where the marsh has the marsh crossing on Lazo Road. And that geotechnical work showed that we do have what we see as a viable crossing of Lazo Marsh at that area. It is still very low, and there will still be groundwater considerations as we open cut the pipe through there. But we think we have a viable path forward along Lazo Road for the project, and that's what we're proceeding with. And so we proceeded to finalize our procurement for both contractors that will be doing this work, and we've signed a contract with Maple Nappet joint venture, who are going to be building the pump stations, Courtney Pump Station, Comox First Nation Pump Station, Comox First Pump Station, as well as the open cut pipe through the areas of the regional district on both sides of Area B, on the west side of Comox, as well as the east side of Comox along the Lazo Road area, from which I believe most of you are in that area that we're presenting to this evening. And the other contractor that we've signed on with is Wacor, who are going to be building the pipe through the town of Comox. And so one of the changes that we had to make because of the change in routing and change in construction methodology was changes to the groundwater monitoring. So we had selected several wells throughout your area to monitor based on the horizontal directional drilling plan for the project. With a change to open cut methodology along Lazo Road, we've decided to move several of those wells so that they're closer to the new alignment, and that there's a larger proportion of shallow wells that is more indicative of the shallow nature of the pipe. And these wells will continue to be monitored throughout the construction. We already have a really good baseline from all the monitoring we've done prior to construction. And we will be continuing to monitor these after construction and doing annual reporting on the results of these, which we'll be publishing to the CBID website. One of the major changes that came about from this change in construction methodology was that the previous groundwater protection policy referenced horizontal directional drilling, and we needed to update the policy. And so as we were moving through this work and continuing to look for better ways to protect the groundwater in the area, you'll see here that we've made a major change to the acoustic monitoring and real-time leak detection of our system. What we found as we moved to an open cut methodology was that the pressure in the pipe is so low that the acoustic monitoring, which requires on hearing the sound of the wastewater leaving the pipe, was actually not possible. And in parallel with that, we were able to identify real-time leak detection that we were able to install as part of the construction and have operational from day one. So we see this as a major positive change that we've made on the project, where instead of having annual acoustic monitoring for leaks, we are moving to real-time leak detection that will be constantly measuring along the pipeline to feel for any potential leaks. And this was a potential future promise that was made by the CVID that we would continue to monitor the market to see if it was feasible. And we're able to implement this on day one. You can see that the other three commitments that we made, the design and construction of the best practice pipe to minimize the risk of the leak, stringent quality control during construction, and annual groundwater monitoring will still be maintained by the CVID. So this real-time leak detection that we're planning to install, and the Sewage Commission approved in our last commission meeting this week, will be these two red cables here you can see in the cross-section of the pipe that will be installed on both sides underneath the pipe. And they're these unique fiber cables that can measure any temperature fluctuations along that pipeline. As you can imagine, if there's any leak in sewage coming from this pipe, the sewage is far, far warmer than the natural ground temperature or any groundwater that's there. And that leaking sewage would raise the temperature of these cables. And the fiber, the light that is being passed down these cables is able to pinpoint the location where that temperature fluctuation occurs. And this information will be constantly being pinged along these fibers and monitored by a real-time system at the wastewater treatment plant that will alert our team if there's any fluctuations as the pipe is in operation. The unique thing about this system is it's able to learn the natural fluctuations in ground temperatures over time. As you can imagine, groundwater will come up and down around this pipe, and so there will be fluctuations in the temperature that these cables experience. But that differential, if there were ever to be a sewage leak, would be so drastic, it would alert us immediately, and it would also pinpoint the location such that our teams could get out there and excavate in that location and investigate. So that is a major change that we are proposing and that our sewage commissioner supported for the groundwater protection policy that affects the Area B residents, and one that we see as a major positive forward step to ensuring groundwater protection in your area. The second major change that's come about due to the change in routing and construction methodology is the impact to traffic in your area. So because of the narrow width of Lazo Road, there's going to need to be rolling block closures as we build along the pipe along that road. We are going to be locating the pipe within the road to minimize any tree losses along the corridor. There's beautiful trees throughout Lazo Road, and we intend to have very minimal impacts to any vegetation in the area. So we want to keep that pipe within the road, which is going to have traffic impacts. But one of the lovely things about the Lazo Road area is there's lots of potential detour routes and roads to move people around and to make sure that access is maintained to all streets and all residents at all times. But there are going to be some traffic impacts as we move through that area. We are looking at using the fire gate on Brent Road to be utilized when we are constructing along Brent Road, because again, the width of that road is so narrow, and we want to minimize our impacts around that road. And so to do that, we're going to plan to use that fire gate when necessary. So the way that this traffic management strategy will be transferred into detailed traffic management plans will be work with our contractor, and 2 to 4 weeks prior to construction, we will ensure that the area is very well informed with letter drops and announcements and information on our website to make sure that everyone is fully aware of how these detours will work and how the detailed traffic management plans will operate while we're constructing in your area. So the construction schedule for this work, you can see here up on the screen. So as I mentioned before, there's 2 different contractors. Nappet Industries, which is part of the Maple Nappet joint venture, will be building the pipe through Area B. And they're planning to start in August and next year and be complete by the end of 2024. We don't have an exact sequence of how they'll be working throughout the Lazo Road area, but we do know that they want to get the crossing of Lazo Marsh done while the ground is at its driest. And so we expect that to happen around September, and they will sequence their work such that it makes sense for the welding of the HDPE pipe. And they'll be moving through this area in the latter half of 2024. Knowing that many of you will commute through the town of Comox, there'll also be construction from spring until summer within the town of Comox, and that's planning to start on Beaufort Avenue, just east of the downtown core, near Jane Place, and the construction will be moving eastwards, up Stewart and down Balmoral, such that the contractor is complete there by the end of summer. That same contractor will then mobilize back to downtown Comox and start to move westwards away from Area B towards the top of Comox Hill. As many of you know, there's another project that CVID are managing that is on a very similar project footprint through the Lazo Road area, and that's the multi-use path. So the multi-use path is very much still going ahead and is planned to go out for tender in early 2024. The project footprint is mostly in parallel and separate from the sewer project, but there are some areas like around Butcher's Road and also Old Lazo Road where there is some crossover, and we'll be working very closely with the parks team to make sure that the two contractors are well coordinated, to make sure that the impacts to the residents are as minimal as they can, but at the same time is that we're making sure that we're not having any sort of rework of any of the work done between the two contractors. So both of these works will be happening through to 2024, such that by the end of 2024, we should have a really beautiful finished product with the parallel multi-use path for the residents of the area. One of the last things that I wanted to walk through today was the fact that a pipe of this size has air management and air valve kiosk considerations that we're still in detailed design on. So as we go up and over the topography of Comox Hill and then Lazo Hill, there is a fluctuating of air that comes in and out of the pipe. And we have these kiosks that will be installed along the entire length of the pipe, all the way from Courtney Pump Station, all the way through to the wastewater treatment plant. And that includes spots along Lazo Road. And so these kiosks and these locations are very much still in detailed design. And because of the fact that the area through Area B is being done as a design build, the details on that will be known in spring and summer of next year. And we'll be doing further engagement on those prior to moving out to construction. I want to ensure all the residents that there's very strict odor requirements on these. If you've ever walked over a manhole in downtown Comox in the middle of summer and smelt a whiff of sewage, it's not going to be anything like that. There's extremely stringent odor requirements on these air kiosks, and there's additional measures of dosing of ferrous chloride at the Courtney Pump Station to minimize even the need for the odor control that we'll have. So this will be extremely tightly regulated by the project specifications, and we're very confident in the final product that will be experienced by your neighborhood. And so the sewer conveyance project timeline moving forward. So we plan some open houses and online webinars with the greater public in January of next year to get everyone ready for the construction, which is starting in the spring. And that's going to be, as I mentioned earlier, in the town of Comox on Beaufort Avenue down by Jane Place. So there's going to be some open houses, a lot of media announcements through February as we get ready to see construction in the streets. But that construction won't arrive in your area until towards the end of summer. And then we'll be working through your area for the latter half of 2024. One of the big one of the big traffic impacts for this project is on the other side of the town of Comox, and that's the planned unidirectional traffic along Comox Road when we're working on Comox Avenue and Comox Road. But that's not going to happen until 2025. And so there's a lot of work to be done on detailed traffic management plans for that unidirectional traffic. There will be a whole second phase of public engagement that's going to happen in June 2024 and fall 2024 as we work through those details, figure out exactly how we're going to retime traffic lights around the Ryan Road area, look at making sure that detour routes are flowing really well, and we'll be engaging with the public and then doing a large communication campaign in fall of 2024 to get the public ready for that major traffic impact in January 2025.